Welcome, all you homeschool heroes. Hope you guys have been doing okay. Miss you guys for the last few weeks here. Hopefully, we can make it through the next few weeks pretty easily. For the next few weeks, we're going to be learning the last remaining topics of 8th grade math. So things are going to look a little bit different than they have the last couple weeks. I figured that I would turn the notes into videos with explanations. That way you guys can use them in order to complete your assignments. So go ahead and watch these videos and do your assignments like you have been the last few weeks. But then on Mondays and Thursdays during the math block, I'll make sure to make myself available for anyone who needs help. So with that being said, our new topic is going to be volume, and we're going to be starting off with cylinders. So let's get going. All right, so volume is the measure of the inside of any shape. Okay, you should remember that from before. So whenever we're dealing with volume, the basic formula is just to take the area of the base and then times it by the altitude. And in this case, altitude references the height or how tall the shape is. Okay, and then we write it in abbreviated form like this: V equals capital B times altitude. Capital B being the area of the base and not just the base or the bottom. Okay, so then depending upon what shape you have, you'd use a different formula right here. Okay, that's why when you do a cube, it's length times width times height, because the area of a square or a rectangle is just length times width, and then you times it by the height. Okay, so the shapes that we're going to be dealing with are all going to be circles. Okay, so we're going to have to go back to our 7th grade year and brush off our little formula that we know for circles, so that way we can do these shapes that are going to be coming before us. All right, so here's your cylinder, your basic can, if you will. Okay, think of like a can of soup or a can of soda or whatever it is. Okay, and remember, you have your 2 circles for your bases, and remember that circles have certain measurements. Okay, this one from the center to the outside is called the radius. Okay, and that's the little lowercase r there. Okay, all right, radius. And then we have the altitude, or how tall the can is. Okay, and that's going to be from basically the top to the bottom. Depending upon how they draw it, it could look like it's on the side right there. Okay, and those are the only 2 measurements you need. Okay, those are the only 2 numbers we need to get this done. And so when we look at this, we're going to plug them into this formula here. But for cylinders, the key is this guy right here. Okay, we need to remember what the formula for the area of a circle is. And I'm here to remind you that it's this. It's radius squared times pi. Okay, so these problems are probably going to be pretty easy. All you're really going to need to do is take the radius and square it, times it by the height, and then use a calculator to times it by pi. It's actually pretty simple. Let's take a look at a couple examples, and then you can get started on your assignment. All right, so here's just that same cylinder, and I put some numbers in it. Okay, so you can see for this one, I added a radius, which is 3, and then the height or the altitude is 8. Okay, so just like any other time that we work with formulas, we want to start off with the formula so we can remember. Okay, volume equals base area times altitude. Now, since this is a circular shape, we're going to use pi times radius squared. And now all we have to do is plug in the numbers and do the math. And remember, you can use a calculator when you do all of these problems. So don't be afraid to just reach out and go ahead and do that. For the most part, you should be able to do almost everything up to timesing by pi in your head. But however you want to do it's fine with me. So here we go. Plug in my numbers. Okay. Radius goes right here. It's going to be squared. Then I'm going to multiply the altitude out here, and then I multiply by pi in here. Now, also, you can remember that since it's all multiplication, you really don't have to pretend that you have to do the parentheses part first. It can be done in any order you want. I just put the parentheses there so you can see that this is the area of the circle, and then this is the height of the cylinder. Okay, so 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do these two next because I can do that in my head. All right, that's 72. And now I just need to deal with pi. Okay, now remember pi is equal to 3.14, and then just multiply it. Okay, and like I said, use a calculator, it's fine with me. Okay, and if you calculate it, you get 226.08, and then I put units squared, which is totally wrong. I should fix that. That should be units cubed. Oh well, learning. My bad. Fix that right there. Okay, so once again, okay, use the formula, plug in the numbers, and then just do the multiplication. And it's all multiplication too. Just multiply, multiply, and then multiply by pi. I would do the pi part last. It just makes it easier that way. All right, another example. Okay, so this example I wanted to show you because if you notice, they don't give you the radius. What do they give you right here? See how they have the line that goes all the way across? Okay, and if you remember, the line that goes all the way across is called the diameter. Okay, so when they give us the diameter, we have to cut it in half. Okay, so we're going to cut that in half when we do this problem here. Okay, there we go. Look at our little circular base right there. Here's our formula, pi r squared. Okay, got this different font here for the pi, but that's what that is. That's a pi symbol. And now let's plug it in, okay? But now I want to just remind you, okay, they gave us the diameter this time. So we're not going to use 8, okay? We don't want 8, okay? The diameter goes all the way across. We want the number that goes halfway across, okay? So if the diameter equals 8, then the radius equals 4. And then that's the number we're going to use up here, okay? And there it is, right there. All right, let's start multiplying. So 4 squared is 16, okay? 16 times 9 is 144. Now, I put the answer like this, okay, right, before I multiply by pi, because sometimes when you're doing things, they actually only want you to leave the answer like this, okay? They call it in terms of pi. That means to do all the math, but then don't actually multiply by pi. Just leave the little symbol in there, and like kind of the rest of the world just knows that we're going to eventually multiply it by 3 and a little bit more after that, okay? So sometimes they'll ask you to leave your answer like that, but other times they want to know the exact decimal. So again, we'll just go ahead and times by 3.14, and then we'll get our answer. So the volume of this cylinder is approximately 452.16 units cubed. And I got it right this time. Okay, all right. So we saw the first example, okay, a straight cylinder. They gave us the radius, and the height. Easy, do the math, okay? Plug it in, take care of it, okay? Now other times they're gonna give you the diameter. Okay, and so before you start that problem, you have to recognize that it's the diameter. You have to cut it in half, and then you can do your problem. Okay? All right, now the last example I'm going to show you is kind of a nifty one here. Now, this one says to find the volume of metal needed to make the cylindrical tube below. Okay, so it's kind of a weird picture, but if you can tell, it's actually a hollow tube. Okay, right here. And you have the diameter of the outer part of the tube is 14 units. The inner diameter of the opening is 12 units, okay? And then the altitude or the height of the cylinder is 30 units, okay? So when we're doing volume, or we're doing any kind of volume or area or anything else, I know you've done this before with perimeter and area when you were like probably in 5th, 6th, and 7th grade, is you sometimes have more than one shape involved, okay? And so usually when it's one shape on top of another, okay, like say like an ice cream cone, right? It's like a cone with half a circle on top. You would find the area or the volume or the perimeter of each of the parts and you would add it together, okay? So then for a shape like this, where it's one shape subtracted out of the middle of another shape, if you can picture it, picture this cylinder being all one piece and then someone coming through and just drilling a hole out from the middle of it, okay? So when it's like this, what you do is you don't add the two volumes together. What you do is you actually subtract them from each other. So what we'll do is we're going to find the volume of a cylinder that's 14 units in diameter, and then we'll find the volume of a cylinder that's 12 units in diameter, and then we'll subtract them from each other. Super easy, okay? Just remember that we have the diameters here, so don't use 14, use 7. And don't use 12, but use 6. Start with our formula. Okay, let's do the outer one first. Okay, plug in my 7, plug in my 30. 7 to the second power is 49. Okay, 49 times 30 is 1,070. Okay, I'm sorry, 1,470 if you're not sure where that came from. Okay, 49 times 30 is that. And then let's save that for right now. Let's go over to the inner cylinder. Start with your formula. Okay, plug in your 6 and your 30. Okay, now 6 to the second power is 36. 36 times 30 is 1,080. Okay, now see how I still have them. I still haven't multiplied by pi yet. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hold off on that. I don't want to do that yet. I can actually subtract them right now because basically what they are is they're like terms. You see that? 1,470 pi, 1,080 pi. That's like just being x's. So these are like terms, and I can actually subtract them from each other before I multiply, which makes it a little bit easier. So 1,470 pi minus 1,080 pi is 390 pi. Okay, so you could leave your answer like that if they ask you to, but if they want to know to the nearest tenth or the nearest hundredth, we're going to have to multiply. So 390 times 3.14 is approximately 1,224.6 units cubed. All right, there we go.